What is up, Rap Potential YouTube? Welcome to today's video. Back on the Turbo 2 FC with the REW swap with the Haltech Platinum Series Sport 2000 and the Mix Magic, my mom's laptop tune. So, last night, went home, got some internet, connected this thing up, kind of smoothed in a map based on, if you remember the last video, I got the map good enough where it started and we could rev it a little bit, so I knew about where the base fuel I needed to start was. So, went ahead, built the rest of a map. I'm not a tuner, so I guess you could say I am a tuner because I'm sitting here with a laptop and an RX7 trying to make tuning changes, but by no means do I have the required experience to confidently tune somebody else's vehicle and say, go drift it and beat it up. So, anyways, it's the next day. I've got a pipe now that goes outside the door. So we're going to be getting exhaust sounds outside and no fumes inside, just the crack. So let's see what we got here. Mainly just want to get this thing starting, revving, making sure it's starting consistently. So let's get her connected, and power mirrors even work on this car while we're waiting. Okay, so here's what I'm getting at right here. If you can see, the map ramps up, goes back down, ramps up again. I don't know why it does that. I don't know if it just, like these have peak and hold, which means that it just turns the primary injectors on, holds them at whatever, and then it starts bringing the secondaries in at that rate. We're learning. So, got the tune that I built, flashed to the computer. Let's see if it starts. Okay, I have windshield wipers on. Sounds pretty good with the pipe on there. I really want to hear what it sounds like outside. It's an RX7 running inside my shop. So, a lot has changed in the 0.2 seconds of that clip to the other clip. I melted the tube, so where the plastic pipe went onto my muffler, it actually melted it, and then the car got really loud. It started to get really smoky in here, so I'm scrambling, trying to get, airflow so that I don't have any sort of health issues breathing in rotary smoke. Anyways, we got all that sorted. The car has been moved, as you can see. The yellow car is now where this car was, and this is now where the yellow car was. Because of that whole fiasco, I wanted this one in more of a spot that's easier for me to blow the fumes out. But a lot has changed in the 0.2 seconds. So, transmission fluid, full. Differential fluid, full. This right here is how I'm filling the transmission with fluid. So, on the side of a Turbo 2 transmission, there's actually two ports. The one that's lower is the fill port, and the other, or I guess, the one that's lower is the level port, fill port, how high you fill it, and the other one is the fill port where you fill it. But on this transmission, one of them's stuck, so I'm filling it from the lower one. So I just shoved this big hose tube next down to a smaller tube that then goes into the transmission. I've found that if you just use a small tube from all the way down, like I have, 6 inches of 3/8, and then a little plastic plug thing to a garden hose, and you can actually fill the garden hose up with a decent amount of transmission fluid and then just let it gravity feed in there. Once it starts coming back out the hole, you're full. So just put a little bit down there, and I might waste a little bit, but that's okay because I can passively do this. I just pour some in, go do something else. Other thing I finished up, fan wiring is done, nice and clean, and I put a catch can on this deal. So you might recognize this catch can and the hose because, well, I had initially robbed the catch can from the black FD because, well, that car got all tore apart to build this red FC, and I put the catch can on my first gen. So it's a multi-generational RX7 catch can. The catch can setup on my car, if you remember, I was having oil slosh issues and I was filling the catch can up way too fast. So it was like a nice halfway done solution, but the RX7 needs some improvements before, you know, we have a finalized catch can situation. So, see, it's rad X7, not just an RX7. But anyways, as it turns out, the same way I mounted in my car mounts in this car, and the hose is about the right length, maybe a little too long, but it doesn't touch any pulleys. In addition, power steering belt is on, so we're going to bleed the power steering fluid. Super easy to bleed on these cars. Top the reservoir off, start the car, work the rack back and forth, put more in the reservoir. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, Japanesey, all done. So, this thing's looking like a car, finally. Not really. But, another important thing, is I just put some fuel in it. I need to relabel one of my bottles, but got some renewable lubricants premix. We're going to top this thing off. If you guys remember, feel like I keep saying that. Go to past videos and learn what we did. But anyways, I ran this engine, this one was in the other car, but this engine strictly on renewable lubricants premix. That's all that this engine has ever seen since I put it together. It has iRotary apex seals, renewable lubricants premix, only about 10 to 12,000 miles maybe on it, street miles plus some rips, so still single turbo, still 14 pounds of boost, like ripping, but on the other car. So we're going to keep running this on renewable lubricants premix. If you go back and watch the video where I compare, or at least show you guys the wear on apex seals from different premixes and different engines that I have taken apart in the past few years, I wasn't super impressed with the condition of the housings and the apex seals in this engine. So previously, we had been running 1 ounce per gallon of the renewable lubricants premix. This is with no oil metering pump. And I think we're going to up that to 1.5 ounces per gallon. Here's why. The renewable lubricant stuff, it burns so clean. It's like Idemitsu, where it doesn't smell. You can run it at 1 ounce per gallon in your street car, and you don't smell like you've been driving like a 1962 Ford F100 or whatever to work every day. Or at least running your leaf blower before you go into the office. So that's a huge win when it comes to renewable lubricants and Idemitsu. And both of those, I think, are based on the same base oil or something close to it. They're very thin. Now, with that being said, having a thinner or a more effective mix in your solution of fuel and oil, I don't know that it's necessarily adhering or lubricating as good, because it might be burning off, because it's cleaner burning, right? So like the intent of two-stroke oil is that you are coating the cylinder walls with oil, or the rotor housings with oil, and then it's getting burned off in some, level, at some level, but there's still residual in there. Well, if your oil's burning off really fast, I don't know that it's like working as well as it necessarily should. So we're trying to find a balance. I don't know. I'm not at all a premix perfect scientist guy, but here's the deal. I run a lot of rotary cars, and I've been trying all sorts of different stuff. And for 10,000 miles, iRotary apex seals are a little harder than stock, but they're not like rotary aviation super seals. They're not like just straight anti-destruction, detonation-proof seals. But I don't know. I just feel like they shouldn't have torn it up that much. So, renewable lubricants premix. I had to put some fuel in this thing, so I just put 6 gallons of fuel in it. So I'm going to put 9 ounces of premix, 1.5 ounces per gallon, math and stuff. But the car started great to move from the yellow car spot to here. I did some more tuning on it, and we're fixing to take this thing for a drive. So I'm going to finish up my fluid stuff, and we're going to go see if this fuel pump can hang, or if I still got to switch the fuel pump with the one from the black car, because neither I nor Richard know what fuel pump's in the back of this car, but it's making the right pressure, so we'll see if we run out of pump. Alright, it's time to drive this thing. Fuel pump. I don't have the laptop hooked up yet, but I'm confident it's going to start. How about that? Didn't even touch the gas pedal, that's just cranking it up. Might be getting the hang of this whole tuning thing. Sometimes the software, like when I hit connect, it's got to basically, I gotta restart the software, and then it'll connect to the ECU, and then I can load the tune. I don't know. It's old stuff. Also, the fan's hooked up now, too. Just fanning with the hood off. This console is actually in pretty good shape for, like, you know, being an FC. The interiors on these things aren't exactly the best. I should have cleaned the laptop screen. I cleaned the windows, but didn't clean this. Connect. Everybody always says, because I work on rotary cars, that I have like wizardry. I can just wave my hands at an RX7 and somehow it works. I wish it was that easy. Okay, so saw a comment on the last video, tuning lessons. Here's the deal. I am just as much of a new guy to this as a lot of people are. I'm still learning it. This is the process I'm going through in my head. So I have an AFR gauge, okay? I have a fuel map. You need to understand when you're tuning the coolant temperature compensation or any other compensations that are going on in your computer. So like right now, my fuel is being compensated by 20-something% because the coolant temperature is still 60 degrees. Okay? So if I go playing with the base map and leaning it out right now, that might not be where you want to be. So like you want to wait for your coolant temperature compensations, any compensations to turn off, or go turn them all off, and you just want to tune the base map first. Get that pretty close, get that pretty good. Then go back through and bring those compensations back. So we've got to let this warm up a little bit. But the process that I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to drive around here, up and down the street, like first and second gear, getting into boost a little bit, and we're going to see how lean or how rich it goes, and I'm going to add or subtract fuel. That's literally it. Super easy. Turbo 2 shifter, son. There's one way to figure out how smooth my driveway is, you know. Oh, well, the diff. Oh, this thing sucks. My sanity is back. The turbo timer worked. Alright. So let's recap. Burning off all sorts of good fumes from the excessive oil leaks and stuff that this thing had before. Cooking in the nice header wrap, which is what you see all the smoke on the downpipe. That's what all this coming off is. Turbski still sitting there spinning, which is actually pretty cool. Just ripping. Let's see. Didn't get hot. Still had oil pressure. Power steering worked, but I think when I was flipping U-turns there, or maybe I caught the tire in the fender at speed and it threw a little plume of smoke. I don't know what the smoke was from, but regardless, it's running pretty good. I would say 100% running good enough to take to at least somebody more competent at tuning to try to get that transition better. You know, it's pulling through there. You know, maybe that transition when those big injectors are hitting, this fuel pump can't keep up, so maybe it needs more pump yet. But a few little things. As far as, I think, my short tenure, or at least this fall tenure with the car, got it pretty good. I'm going to get it back to Richard. He can tidy up some small stuff on it. And then if he still needs my help with it to change other things, we can. But I think everything else is pretty small stuff that any standard, you know, like regular person, car enthusiast person could take care of. And this just gets this box checked off. FC engine swap done. Car runs pretty good. Does some donuts. These super hard 200 tread wear tires throwing some rocks and gravel back there at the intersection. So stoked though, driving it up here. My little tuning session. The misfires, you always worry about one little detonation ping can break an apex seal or tear something up. So these iRotary apex seals handled that little bit of abuse with, I really wouldn't think that it was timing, but just going lean like that, you could still get detonation. So, and having little misfires. The iRotary seals held up. It's running, and I'm stoked. So with that, that is the FC Drift Car Chronicles. Can't exactly say took it to a drift event and drifted it and did all that, which, I don't know, drifting's not really my thing, but did some little donuts over there and spun it around, kept it out of the ditch on these narrow back roads. And Richard's the drift guy, so we'll get this up to him and he can tear it up. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep it rad. Well, the Drift FC did some drifts, or at least some skids. These brake pads, whatever they got on there, cleaned the rotors up real nice. How about the Cadillac Duramax back there? I'm almost done with the Caddy Max swap, and then we'll do a video on the Caddy Max. Just waiting on some seat stuff, and then I'll have heated, power, leather, all the interior from the Cadillac Escalade in my dually. It's gonna be sick. Peace.